Hey guys, it's Hannah and today I am recording a video that I have wanted to do for so long now. It is basically how I get ready and tack up for an event, so for cross country at a 3-day or 2-day event. And I've tried to make this as realistic as possible to what I would normally do, but it is filmed at my house and not an actual competition. But yes, as you can see, I am just grooming Jericho at the moment. I used at first a big, thick, bristled brush, and then after I went over with a nice, soft Equi Essentials flicker brush, which just gets rid of all the dust and stuff. And then here I am taking away Jericho's feed because I try and take away his hay about 20 minutes before I jump on him or so, just so he's not on a full stomach when I'm going around cross country. And then here I'm picking out his hooves, making sure there is nothing, because you obviously don't want anything in their hooves when they're going cross country, and they might, you know, have a pebble in there or whatever else because, you know, obvious reasons. Then I'm using this hoof moisturizer by Donnybrook, and I didn't used to use a hoof moisturizer or any particular products. I used to just use olive oil, which I do still use because it is so much cheaper. But yeah, I usually use olive oil, but for an event and for cross country when they're doing a lot of work, I use a hoof moisturizer just to prevent cracking and whatnot. Then here I am going over with fly spray because that's why he was stomping his legs so much, because there are a million flies around and he hates flies. Now I'm just putting on his bell boots. I use the PEI bell boots because they are really heavy duty. They've got like a sort of, I don't know, almost like a bitumen-y feel at the back, which is really hard. Then I'm putting on my Lemieux teal pad, and I used to use an Ogilvy, as you can see I put on, but I no longer use that because it was just too spongy. It almost like made me bounce around in the saddle slightly more because it just was so bouncy and stuff. So now I use a Total Saddle Fit numbner, which has a split up the top where the wither is, which just basically, it just evens out the pressure around the wither, and it's so good for Jericho because when I use a normal numbner with him, it bunches up the top and then it makes the saddle sit too far back, especially when Jerry is such a uphill horse. And I also use a back riser in this numbner. Then I'm just putting my saddle on. I put the Lemieux through the D-ring, but I don't put the Total Saddle Fit. I just tuck that in because I've found that is the way that it doesn't slip on Jericho, because his saddle tends to eat up saddle blankets even though it has been correctly fitted. The stud girth that I am using is by the Eventers Boutique. I am just putting his breastplate on. I usually use a Kentár breastplate on with him, but the fluffy bits on it I had washed, so they weren't actually with me, so I just put on Dexter's Venting Boutique breastplate on him. And I just do it up really loosely, how you're supposed to do a breastplate on, just super loose, and you can see I move it around at the front, making sure that he's got plenty of room to stretch over jumps and stuff. And then I'm putting his back boots on. So I use, once again, PEI, Premier Equine International boots, and these are the Air Track boots. They're the new ones, and I love them so much. As you can see, they're brand new. I haven't used them yet, and they've still got the tag on. I was just checking that they were fitting and stuff. This is the first time I've ever used them, but I love them so much. And I originally had another pair of their boots that I'll show you in a sec, but they lasted 4 years and they were just starting to show some wear and tear, so I decided to retire them to Dexter when I take him cross country, and these ones I will be now using for Jericho when I take him out eventing. And I got them in brown because all my tack is brown, and I actually have some matching bell boots that are the same colour brown, but I couldn't find them for the video, unfortunately. And then obviously making sure it's all nice and firm and won't rotate around him. And these are my old boots that I used to use. I've used them for 4 seasons, so as you can see, they look really good for that. but as you can see, he knocks his back legs sometimes on fences. And now for me, I use this shoulders back thing, which basically exactly as you'd expect, it helps you keep your shoulders back and reminds you to. It almost like hurts if you move your shoulders forward. And then I put on my Viper vest. I actually like coloured in with permanent texture the logo, and then I put my number on and struggle and usually have mum or whoever is helping me put that on for me. Then at home, I'm just using my boots because I didn't want to use the tall boots that I normally use, which I'll put the brand down below or a photo of them. But I don't like using them at home ever because they're really nice and they're really expensive. So I try and preserve them. I'm just using my Ariat H2O boots and my Ariat Challenge chaps. And then my spurs, I know, oh my god, you're abusing the horse by using spurs. Sorry. If you knew Jericho and knew how he rides, you would understand why I use spurs on cross country, because you don't want no impulsion going up to a big solid fence. And these spurs are by Sprenger and they have a rowel on the back. Then I'm just putting my helmet on. My helmet is 2 sizes too big. I have another one that's 1 size too big, but I didn't have it on me this day. So I just have to like put my hair in it and then jump around and make sure that it's not going to move around or anything, just because it is 2 sizes too big instead of 1 size too big. And I get 1 size too big because it fits my hair then. And then I'm just putting Jerry's bridle on. I used a Micklem bridle, and I'm sorry, this colour of bridle in tobacco is no longer available. You can't get it in tobacco anymore. For some reason they've retired it. And then I'm just cleaning his nostrils here and making sure when he breathes like hard on cross country there's not going to be any dirt going into his lungs or whatever. And then I just put this mosquito and fly cream around his eyes and his nose. As you can see, he was really bothered by the flies, but usually when I compete him in cross country there's no flies around, so it's fine. And then I just go over that and rub it in with this little Equi Essentials face brush, which I've had for years and I love it so much. And then I'm just putting my watch on and my gloves, so setting my watch because I usually have it count down in time. I used to do it so each minute it would beep, but now I just have it count down because I often would forget what time the optimum was and then I would go over or under time. Then I just put my gloves on. I usually mix between wearing 2 brands of gloves, Rokel and I can't remember the other one's name. And then the whip I'm using, I'm not actually sure of the brand because I got it for my birthday, but thank you Rebecca, I believe, for getting it for me. Then I'll just walk Jerry around. As you can see, he takes a little while to get used to the back boots because they're just a lot bigger than his normal back boots, and usually he doesn't even really wear them for dressage or anything. And then I will tighten the girth up 1 hole just so I do it gradually so he doesn't suddenly have to suck in because he is a little bit girthy. Then I will use the back of my trailer to get on. I usually have mum helping me because at events he's actually a completely different horse and he's kind of excited because he knows that he's about to go cross country, whereas at home he's expecting a dressage or a grid work ride. And then I ride him off. And then this is my warm-up, so I'll do a lot of, as you can see, I'm just staying in 2-point because that's what I'll have to do pretty much for the entire ride. I'm not that great at it still because I'm so weak in the upper body and stuff and in the legs because my legs are so bloody long that I struggle with it sometimes. And then I will canter him after walking and trotting him for at least about 10 minutes, depending on whether I've done show jumping earlier in the day, because often at pre-novice level in Australia you will have the show jumping earlier in the day before cross country, whereas I'll trot him a lot longer before cantering if my cross country is before my show jumping. And then I'll incorporate a lot of small, like 10 metre or 15 minute circles, and then I'll ride off again and lengthen and then shorten again in a circle. And then I'll incorporate the little logs that you often have in warm-up and just getting really listening and making sure that he slows down, because on cross country, often going too fast is Jericho's thing. And as most horses that are seasoned eventers are like that, so it's very normal. And then I wish I could do this at shows, but unfortunately there's no real grid work that you're allowed to set up in warm-up. So this is just me doing stuff at home, getting him listening. This is what I would suggest training, especially for a horse like him. This is what I more do in warm-up. I do a lot of slicing to jump, so like really getting in and making sure he jumps on an angle too without any problems. And he loves doing it because he's like, oh my god, I'm so clever, look at me, I can change over jumps and everything. And yeah, we both love doing this sort of thing, and this is what I tend to do a lot in warm-up, just getting him around one leg and then swapping over jumps and, you know, make sure he'll jump anything easily. And then I'll do a few more jumps on an angle and, you know, go and try and do a little bit of a course sort of thing if it's possible in the warm-up. So like not just jump one and then halt and jump one. It depends on the horse. If your horse charges off after every jump, I would be jumping and halting after everything. But with a horse like Jerry, who tends to come back very easily, I'll do a little course and do a few jumps and turns and etc. in the warm-up. And then after cross country, I will trot him on a loose rein. I won't just go cantering, walk. I will do a lot of loose rein trotting, which kind of annoys people in the cooldown area because I'm like tearing around still. But I just like my horse to be gradually coming back to me instead of just going from galloping to halt. And then I will take all my gloves off and stuff once I've got back to the float, chuck all them off. And the first thing I'll do would be take off his tendon boots and sometimes his bell boots. I did that this day. And just try and do it all as fast as possible because leaving tendon boots on for too long will heat up their leg and it can destroy cells in their leg. And then I will let him have a drink. This is in my dam, so this isn't entirely realistic, but I will get out a bucket of water and just let him drink. And I'll do it so he can't drink for a long period of time. I'll get him to put his head back up and just like swallow the water, and then I'll let him keep drinking. And then I will hose off his legs first because that's what's done so much work in the last, I don't know, 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes, which is my normal time for cross country. And just all the problem areas, you know your horse, you know where they've had previous injuries or sprains or whatever. So I hose off his hocks and his hematoma because they're a little bit weak. And then if I don't have access to a hose at an event, I will use a brush like this, like a brush with a sponge in it, and just brush him all off and pour water on his legs instead of that. And then I will go over with a sweat scraper because water creates like a sort of like seal on them and they can't get cool. And then this is when I'll put their ice boots on. I only had cold water boots, the PEI cold water boots that day because I was just at home. So normally I would be using ice boots on the front and these on the back, but this is all I had that day. I will show you the boots that I normally use for ice. And then I will walk him for 10 minutes. So after an event, I will walk him for 10 minutes and then put his ice boots on for 10 minutes and then walk him for 10 minutes and then put his ice boots on for 10 minutes and then walk him for 10 minutes. And that is pretty much what I do to cool him down, make sure he is all okay and will not ever be lame the next day. Pretty much never when I've done that properly has he ever pulled up lame, and I don't think he ever has pulled up lame. He's just pulled up a little bit stiff sometimes, which is when I haven't been able to cool him down properly, exactly like I said. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in about 2 weeks for my next video. I hope you enjoyed and take this on board perhaps for your next event. Bye!